The courtroom was silent. But the silence was heavier than any storm. Zhang Yuxuan, shackled and pale, stood before the judges with death hanging above his head like a blade. Outside the courthouse, crowds of Menglong's fans wept, their posters trembling in the autumn wind. Every corner of the city seemed to echo with one question: why did Menglong have to die? And why did the cameras in his own home record nothing? As the trial opened, Zhang raised his head for the first time. His eyes were hollow. His lips cracked from sleepless nights. When the judge demanded a plea, he uttered words that sent a chill through the room: I killed him. But the truth is darker than you imagine. The cameras, they were never meant to see anything. Gasps filled the air. Reporters scribbled in panic. Court guards tightened their grip. A confession, yes, but one drenched in mystery. To understand the weight of those words, we must return to that cursed night. October 14th, 11:37 p.m. Menglong's neighbors reported hearing faint footsteps, a door slamming. Then silence. Hours earlier, the actor had been live on social media, smiling faintly, laughing nervously. Some fans swore he looked distracted, his eyes darting off screen. One chilling moment remained etched in memory. He glanced at the camera, opened his mouth as if to speak, then froze. Seconds later, the feed cut short. That was the last the world saw of him alive. When investigators entered his apartment the next morning, the scene was too clean, eerily clean. No struggle, no shattered glass, no blood stains. Only an overturned glass of water on the bedside table, a phone left charging, and every CCTV camera blinking red. Not a single second of footage survived. Authorities claimed technical malfunction. Fans screamed cover up. Conspiracy boards erupted. Who wanted Menglong's eyes erased from that night? In court, Zhang's breathing grew ragged as prosecutors listed evidence: traces of his DNA on the balcony, his fingerprints on the back door, a neighbor who spotted his shadow slipping into the residence. Zhang did not deny it. Instead, he laughed, soft, broken, but terrifying. Yes, I was there. Yes, I silenced him. But ask yourselves, why did no one hear him scream? His words cracked the courtroom wide open. Reporters scrambled to piece together the puzzle. Fans recalled cryptic posts from days before his death. Sometimes silence is forced upon you. Others uncovered that you had cancelled several high-profile meetings and privately reached out to old friends. Xingfei, the co-star, linked to him in countless rumors. She had received a message, time-stamped just an hour before his live stream ended: if something happens, remember the cameras can't protect me. The revelation detonated like a bomb online. How could he know? Why would a man fear his own surveillance system? Theories swirled: hacking by a jealous rival, bribes within the entertainment agency, political shadows stretching far beyond the silver screen. But in the dock, Zhang shook his head violently, veins bulging at his temple. You think this was my plan? You think I could erase every camera in that house alone? No. Doomed before I even stepped inside. Family members of Menglong wailed. His father collapsed, shouting for justice. His mother covered her face as if shielding herself from a nightmare she could not wake from. The judge demanded silence. But silence was impossible. Emotions were spilling like broken glass across the room. As the first day of testimony closed, he leaned forward, gripping the microphone with bloodless knuckles. His voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried to every ear in the chamber: the death you mourned was not just a murder. It was an execution ordered from above. I am only the blade. The hand that wielded me still hides in the shadows. Shockwaves tore through the courthouse. Journalists screamed questions. Guards dragged Zhang back to his cell, and the judge's gavel thundered like cannon fire. But the damage was done. The world now knew: the missing CCTV was no accident. The murder no random crime. Menglong had stumbled into something far larger. And the truth was only beginning to bleed through the cracks. Zhang vanished behind the heavy prison doors. His final glance back at the gallery left everyone trembling. His eyes seemed to say, "You're not ready for the names I'm about to reveal." The second day of testimony began under a stormy sky. Rain hammered the courthouse steps as crowds surged once more, clutching photographs of Menglong and candles flickering in the wind. The night before, his fans had marched through the streets chanting his name, demanding answers. Who silenced the cameras? Who silenced you, The world was no longer treating this as just another celebrity tragedy, it was an execution mystery unraveling in real time. When Zhang Yuxuan was brought back into the courtroom, like a man already half dead, his shackled hands trembled. His lips whispered to himself. When the judge commanded him to continue, his voice cut through the chamber like steel. I told you yesterday I was only the blade. Today, know who held the handle. Gasps rippled across the room. Prosecutors leaned forward, ready to pounce. Journalists readied their cameras. Zhang paused, eyes darting to the gallery, where Xing Fei sat hidden behind sunglasses, her shoulders shaking. Presence confirmed for the first time. The connection everyone whispered about now sat in plain sight. Zhang's confession poured out like poison. He spoke of secret meetings where Menglong discovered that a powerful entertainment syndicate was laundering money through talent contracts, locking stars into silent servitude. Curious and stubborn, had uncovered documents never meant to be seen. And worse, confided to someone he trusted, someone close. His voice trembled as he looked directly at Xing Fei. He told you, didn't he? He warned you. Why they came for him. The courtroom exploded. Xing Fei collapsed forward, her lawyer catching her before she hit the floor. Others screamed questions. Fans cried out. Between rage and heartbreak, the judge slammed the gavel until his hand shook. But Zhang continued mercilessly. He described how he had been recruited not as a mastermind, an enforcer, paid to make you disappear quietly. His orders were precise. The cameras had to be blinded first. Every second of evidence erased. He revealed the chilling method. A former technician from Yu's own agency had slipped in the access codes. The entire surveillance grid had been sabotaged from within. Menglong was never supposed to be able to call for help. The silence was engineered. Detail, the audience seemed to drown. Fans covered their faces, unable to bear the images. Yu's father shouted again, his voice raw with grief. Why him? Why my son? And Zhang, tears streaming for the first time. Because he refused to stay silent. Because he chose truth over survival. The confession didn't end there. Zhang admitted that he had hesitated that night. That Yu begged him for a chance to speak publicly. Reveal everything. He wasn't afraid of dying, Zhang said. On the words. He was afraid of being forgotten. That line carved itself into history. Repeated endlessly across news feeds, hashtags, and protest banners outside. Then came the bombshell that shook the trial to its core. Zhang claimed he was not the only one involved, that others in the industry, men in suits with far more power, traded every step. He named names. Names too dangerous to publish in the official transcript. The court scrambled to redact. But whispers flew through the corridors. All the way to the top, someone muttered. All eyes turned once more to Xing Fei. To testify. Her voice cracked but carried. Admitted you had reached out to her days before his death, telling her never to trust certain executives, telling her that the cameras in his home were no longer his. As she spoke, tears streaked her face. To protect me, she said. He died carrying secrets he should never have carried alone. Outside, fans lit thousands of candles. Reflections burning in the rain. Social media exploded with fury. Justice for Yu Menglong. Who silenced the CCTV? Xing Fei speaks. The case was no longer just about one man's guilt, but an entire system drenched in blood and silence. Proceedings dragged into the evening. Zhang gave his final words. Guards tightened around him, fearing an outburst. But his voice was strangely calm. You may kill me. The truth is already free. Yu Menglong's death was not just mine to bear. It belongs to every hand that ordered me. Every voice that told me to shut the cameras. The shadow that profited from his silence. When I hang, remember this, I am only one corpse. Others still walk free. The gavel fell. The death sentence was confirmed. Zhang Yuxuan would be executed within months. His confession, however, ignited a war far larger than his own life. He was dragged from the room. He turned his head one last time towards Xing Fei. The look on her face, a mixture of grief, rage, and unbearable guilt, etched itself into history alongside his words. He mouthed silently, "Forgive me." The courtroom emptied into chaos. Protesters stormed the steps. Police struggled to contain the flood of grief and anger. And in the center of it all, the unanswered questions loomed darker than ever. Who were the true masterminds Zhang had hinted at? Why had the cameras really gone dark? And would anyone beyond this single man on death row ever face justice? The world may never know. But one truth was certain: Menglong's death was no longer just a tragedy, it was a wound carved into the conscience of an entire nation. A wound that would not heal.